Let's uncover 10 seriously underrated SUVs that are still worth buying in the UK, and I promise you've probably never even considered half of these for your next car. Every single week we see the same names getting all the attention. Everyone talks about the Nissan Qashqai, everyone talks about the Kia Sportage, everyone talks about the Ford Puma. But while all the attention goes to those obvious choices, there's a whole group of SUVs sitting quietly on dealer forecourts, offering better value, better reliability, and in some cases genuinely better ownership experiences, and almost nobody is talking about them. So today we're going through 10 of these hidden gems one by one, and by the end of this video you might just realize the perfect car for you has been hiding in plain sight the whole time. Ignoring these options could genuinely cost you thousands of pounds over the years you own your next car. Here's the thing about the SUV market in this country. It's absolutely saturated with hype. Manufacturers spend enormous marketing budgets pushing certain models into the spotlight, and dealers push whatever's easiest to sell, which usually means whatever's already popular. That creates a strange effect where genuinely excellent, well-engineered SUVs get overlooked simply because they don't have the marketing muscle behind them. And that matters to your wallet in a very real way. When everyone wants the same handful of models, demand goes up, and so does the price, both when you buy and often when it comes to insurance and servicing too. Meanwhile, these underrated alternatives often come with lower purchase prices, cheaper running costs, and depreciation curves that are far kinder to your bank balance. Buy the wrong car because it was trendy rather than because it was right for you, and you could end up paying over the odds for years, while also missing out on features or reliability that some of these overlooked models actually deliver. So let's get into it properly because there's real money to be saved here if you know where to look. First up is the Suzuki S-Cross. Now, Suzuki as a brand doesn't get anywhere near the credit it deserves in the UK, and the S-Cross is a perfect example of why. It's a compact SUV that punches well above its weight when it comes to reliability, with Suzuki consistently ranking near the top of dependability surveys year after year. The hybrid versions are impressively efficient for a petrol-powered SUV, and because Suzuki doesn't have the same brand cachet as some rivals, you'll often find these going for noticeably less money on the used market despite offering similar space and technology. It's not the flashiest thing on the road, but if you want something that will simply start every morning without drama for the next decade, it deserves serious consideration. Next, we have the Skoda Karoq. Skoda has slowly built a reputation in the UK as the brand for people who care more about substance than status, and the Karoq is arguably one of the best examples of that philosophy in SUV form. It shares a lot of its underpinnings with the Volkswagen Tiguan, which means you're getting genuinely solid German engineering but at a fraction of the price, and with none of the badge snobbery. Interior space is excellent, build quality feels properly premium, and yet used examples routinely sell for thousands less than an equivalent Tiguan. If you've ever wanted a VW Group SUV but couldn't stomach the price tag, the Karoq is quite simply the answer, and yet so few people even think to look at it. Third on our list is the Mitsubishi ASX. This one tends to get written off before people even give it a chance, mostly because it's been around in various forms for a long time and doesn't have the newest looking design language. But underneath that slightly dated exterior sits a genuinely dependable SUV with a strong track record for longevity. Mitsubishi's engineering reputation in Japan is excellent, even if the brand's UK marketing has never quite matched that reality. Used ASX models can be picked up for very reasonable money, and with sensible maintenance they're known to comfortably clock up well over 100,000 miles without major issues. If you're after a no-nonsense, low-drama family SUV and don't care about chasing the latest styling trends, this is one to seriously look at. Number 4 is the SsangYong Korando, now sold under the KGM name. This is probably the most overlooked SUV in this entire list, and honestly it shouldn't be. SsangYong has struggled with brand recognition in the UK for years, which is a real shame because the Corando offers a huge amount of interior space, a comfortable ride, and genuinely competitive pricing compared to the mainstream players. Because so few people consider it, dealers are often far more willing to negotiate, meaning you can walk away with a very well-specced SUV for considerably less than you'd pay for a Qashqai or Sportage with similar equipment. The badge might not carry prestige at the school run, but your bank balance won't mind one bit. Fifth, we've got the Honda CR-V. This might surprise some of you because the CR-V isn't exactly an unknown nameplate, but in terms of how often it actually gets recommended or discussed compared to its rivals, it's massively underrepresented. Honda's reputation for bulletproof reliability is well earned, and the CR-V benefits from decades of refinement. It doesn't try to be flashy or trendy, it just quietly does everything you need an SUV to do, and does it exceptionally well. Servicing costs tend to be reasonable, parts are widely available, and resale values hold up better than you might expect, precisely because owners who've had one rarely want to sell. Sixth on the list is the Fiat 500X. Yes, a Fiat SUV, and yes, it's actually a genuinely solid choice that gets completely ignored in a market dominated by German and Japanese options. The styling is distinctive without being over the top. The interior feels more premium than the price suggests. And because Fiat doesn't have a strong SUV reputation in the UK, used prices are noticeably softer than comparable rivals. It's not going to win any off-road capability awards, but for urban and suburban driving, which is what the vast majority of SUV buyers actually use their cars for, it's a comfortable, characterful and affordable option that deserves far more attention than it gets. Seventh, we have the Jeep Compass. Jeep as a brand carries genuine off-road credibility. Yet in the UK, that reputation somehow doesn't translate into strong sales figures for the Compass, which means used examples can represent excellent value. It offers a commanding driving position, a rugged look that plenty of buyers actually want, and genuine four-wheel drive capability on certain trims that many rivals simply don't offer. Because it's overlooked compared to more mainstream crossovers, you'll often find better specification for your money, along with the kind of road presence that makes a real statement without the premium price tag that usually comes with it. Number 8 is the Renault Kadjar. This one quietly disappeared from Renault's UK lineup, which has actually made used examples even more of a hidden gem, since fewer people think to search for them anymore. It shares plenty of mechanical components with the Nissan Qashqai, which, as we mentioned earlier, is one of the most popular SUVs in the country, but because the Kadjar carries a different, less fashionable badge, prices on the used market are consistently lower for what is essentially very similar underlying engineering. If you like the idea of Qashqai levels of practicality and comfort without paying Qashqai money, this is exactly the kind of overlooked alternative worth chasing down. Ninth on our list is the Mazda CX-30. Mazda has built an incredibly loyal but relatively small following in the UK, and the CX-30 is one of the best-kept secrets in the compact SUV segment. The interior quality genuinely rivals premium German brands. The driving dynamics are noticeably sharper than most rivals in this class, and Mazda's reliability record is consistently strong. Yet because the brand doesn't shout about itself the way some competitors do, the CX-30 gets overlooked time and time again by buyers who never even put it on their shortlist. Anyone who's actually driven one tends to come away impressed, which says a lot about how underrated it truly is. And finally, rounding out our list at number 10, we have the Citroën C5 Aircross. Citroën has always had a knack for prioritising comfort over sportiness, And the C5 Aircross takes that philosophy and applies it brilliantly to the SUV format. The suspension setup is genuinely one of the most comfortable in its class, ironing out bumps and imperfections in a way that makes long motorway journeys noticeably more relaxing. It offers generous interior space, distinctive styling that stands out from the sea of identical-looking crossovers. And because Citroën doesn't have the same strong SUV reputation as some rivals, pricing remains genuinely competitive, both new and used. So there you have it, 10 seriously underrated SUVs that the vast majority of UK buyers completely overlook, and yet every single one of them offers something genuinely worth considering, whether that's reliability, comfort, value, or simply standing out from the identikit crowd of Qashqais and Sportages clogging up every car park in the country. The truth is, the badge on the bonnet often has far more influence over what people buy than the actual quality of the car underneath it. And that's exactly why hidden gems like these exist in the first place. Manufacturers with smaller marketing budgets simply can't compete with the noise generated by the biggest players, even when their products are just as good and sometimes genuinely better. If there's one thing to take away from everything we've covered today, it's this. Don't just buy the car everyone else is buying because it's the obvious, easy choice. Do a little bit of digging, look beyond the usual suspects, and you might just find that the perfect SUV for your needs and your budget has been sitting there quietly the entire time, waiting for someone to actually notice it. The savings alone, both on the purchase price and on long-term running costs, can genuinely be significant. And in several cases, you'll end up with a car that's just as capable, just as comfortable, and sometimes even more reliable than the mainstream alternative everyone assumes is the safer bet. Before you go, let us know in the comments which of these 10 SUVs surprised you the most, or if there's another hidden gem out there that you think deserves a spot on this list. We read every single comment, and honestly, some of the best recommendations we've ever covered on this channel have come directly from viewers, just like you, pointing us towards cars we hadn't even considered. If you found this useful, don't forget to subscribe for more honest, no-nonsense breakdowns of the UK car market, because we'll keep digging up the vehicles that deserve your attention, even when nobody else seems to be talking about them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.